The streets of New Terra had grown quiet after Marcus Hale's first successful strike against the alien supply depot. Fires still smoldered in the ruins, and the air carried the smell of smoke and ozone. Humans worked tirelessly to repair buildings, salvage resources, and care for the wounded. But beneath the calm, tension simmered. The aliens would not stay idle for long. Above the planet, Queen Zira's massive ship hovered like a predator circling its prey. Her many eyes glowed with sharp focus as she studied Marcus Hale and the humans' activity below. They had surprised her once, and she would not allow it again. "Send the hunters," she commanded, her voice cold and commanding. "I want to see this human tested. Let him fight. Let him prove if he is truly remarkable, or if he will fall like the rest." From the shadows of her ship, a squad of elite alien hunters was deployed. Sleek, deadly, and equipped with advanced stealth suits, they moved faster than any human could detect. Each hunter carried weapons capable of vaporizing concrete and piercing reinforced armor. Their mission was clear: track Marcus Hale, engage his squad, and capture or eliminate him. Marcus, meanwhile, was unaware of the elite hunters closing in. He had returned to a hidden base beneath the ruins, reviewing maps and planning future attacks. His mind worked constantly, analyzing patterns, predicting enemy movements, and preparing for the next strike. "We have to stay ahead of them," he told his squad. "The aliens will adapt. They will send better soldiers next. But we will be ready. We always are." The human squad trained relentlessly. They ran drills through ruined buildings, perfected hand-to-hand combat techniques, and practiced ambushes that used the city to their advantage. Each human soldier knew that survival depended not only on courage, but on preparation and strategy. Deep in the city, the hunters observed Marcus. They studied his movements, noting his tactics, his leadership, and his ability to inspire his team. Zira had chosen well. This human was unlike any soldier the aliens had encountered. The first confrontation came at night. Marcus led a small team to sabotage a communications tower that relayed alien orders across the city. As they approached, shadows shifted and the hunters struck. "Ambush!" Marcus shouted, and his squad sprang into action. The hunters moved like ghosts, their weapons flashing green beams. But Marcus had prepared for this. Using the ruined streets and alleys, he drew the hunters into a narrow corridor between two buildings. There, his team detonated carefully placed traps, sending shockwaves and metal debris at the advancing aliens. The hunters were formidable, but Marcus's squad fought with precision. Humans ducked behind cover, fired at weak points in the alien armor, and used every advantage the terrain offered. Marcus himself moved at the front, his rifle blazing, his squad following his commands without hesitation. Queen Zira watched the battle unfold from orbit. Her many eyes followed Marcus as he fought. She had expected a swift victory for her hunters, but now she saw something extraordinary. Marcus was not just fighting. He was controlling the battlefield, predicting enemy moves, and keeping his team alive. "Impressive," she murmured. "He adapts faster than any human should be able to. He is extraordinary." The battle raged through the night. Explosions shook the streets, alien beams cut through walls, and humans leaped over debris to strike back. Civilians watched from hidden vantage points, cheering quietly, inspired by the courage they saw. Even when outnumbered, Marcus's squad held their ground, moving with a combination of bravery and strategy that kept the hunters off balance. Finally, after hours of intense combat, the hunters retreated. Marcus's squad had survived with minimal losses, having inflicted significant damage on the elite unit. They moved back to their hidden base, exhausted but victorious. Marcus addressed his team, his voice calm but full of resolve. "Tonight we prove something important. We are not weak. We are not helpless. We fight with skill, courage, and heart. And that is something no alien can take from us." The squad cheered quietly, though they were weary. Marcus's words carried more weight than any weapon. They reminded humans why they fought and why they could endure. Above, Queen Zira considered her next move. She had mocked humans before, but now she saw them differently. One human warrior in particular was capable of things that even she could not fully predict. Marcus Hale was not just a soldier. He was a symbol of human strength, ingenuity, and resilience. "I underestimated them," she admitted. "Perhaps this human is exceptional. I must see him again. I must witness his spirit tested to the limits." Marcus, unaware of the alien queen's fascination, continued to plan. He studied alien movements, reinforced human defenses, and prepared for future strikes. Every decision he made was driven by one thought: humans would survive no matter the cost. Days passed and skirmishes continued across the city. Humans used guerrilla tactics to harass alien patrols, sabotage supply lines, and rescue captured civilians. Each victory, small or large, emboldened the population. Even those who had been paralyzed by fear began to fight, inspired by Marcus and his squad. During one mission, Marcus and his team intercepted an alien transport carrying reinforcements. Using clever tactics and the environment to their advantage, they ambushed the convoy, disabling vehicles and forcing the aliens to retreat. Human ingenuity and courage shone brightly in the chaos of battle. Queen Zira observed from above, her interest deepening. Marcus's ability to inspire, strategize, and fight with courage was unlike anything she had witnessed. She had mocked humanity before, thinking them weak, fragile, and insignificant. Now she began to wonder if humans were not just survivors but warriors capable of extraordinary feats. "Perhaps," she whispered, "I have been wrong about them. This one human, he may change the course of this war." Marcus continued to lead, never faltering. He trained new recruits, shared strategies, and planned future attacks. The human spirit, unbroken and relentless, spread through the city like wildfire. One evening, Marcus gathered his squad on a hill overlooking the city. Fires burned in some areas, but lights shone from safe zones where humans worked tirelessly. "We fight not because we are invincible," he said, "but because we are human. We have courage, heart, and willpower. We will survive because we never give up. Every time we fight, we grow stronger. Every time we stand together, we are unstoppable." The squad nodded, their resolve renewed. They had seen the power of one human warrior, and now they carried it in their hearts. Above, Queen Zira made a decision. She would confront Marcus directly, testing the limits of his skill, courage, and leadership. Not because she wanted to destroy him, but because she wanted to witness the strength of humanity firsthand. She would send her most powerful warriors, her elite forces, to challenge him in a battle that would reveal the true measure of human resilience. And Marcus, unaware of the challenge awaiting him, continued to lead his people with courage and intelligence, showing the galaxy what humans were capable of when faced with impossible odds. The war was far from over, but one truth had already become clear: humans were not weak. They were clever, courageous, and unyielding, and one human, Marcus Hale, had become the symbol of that strength, a symbol even the alien queen could not ignore. The stage was set for an even greater confrontation. The aliens would soon learn that human warriors did not fight for fear. They fought for hope, for survival, and for the unbreakable spirit that defined their species. The horizon of New Terra glowed with a strange green light as the alien fleet prepared to strike again. This time it was not a routine attack or a patrol, it was a deliberate test. Queen Zira had sent her most powerful soldiers, the elite shock forces, to challenge Marcus Hale and the human defenders. Their mission was clear: crush the resistance, capture Marcus, and end human defiance once and for all. Marcus stood atop a ruined building, surveying the city below. Civilians moved quickly to safe zones while human soldiers checked their weapons and reinforced barricades. Marcus's eyes were sharp, his mind calculating every possibility. He had expected retaliation, but the scale of this attack was greater than anything he had faced before. "Today," he told his squad, "we are not just defending our city. We are showing them what it means to fight a human. They think fear will make us weak, but courage makes us strong. Stay sharp, move together, and trust each other." The squad nodded, inspired by his words. Humans may not match the aliens in size or technology, but they had something more powerful: determination, intelligence, and unity. Above, Queen Zira watched with anticipation. Her many eyes fixed on Marcus, studying him. She had mocked humans before, dismissed them as weak. But this one human, this leader, had earned her attention. How would he respond when faced with the full might of her elite army? The first wave descended. Elite alien shock troops dropped from pods with deadly precision, their armor shimmering under the green light of the sky. Their weapons crackled with energy that could melt steel. Civilians screamed and scattered, but Marcus's squad moved like shadows, coordinating with human defenders and setting traps. Marcus led a daring charge through the streets, drawing the aliens into narrow alleys where their numbers counted for less. Using homemade explosives, smokescreens, and quick maneuvers, humans forced the aliens to slow down. giving civilians a chance to escape. One of the elite soldiers lunged at Marcus, claws extended and energy beams flashing. Marcus dodged, rolled behind cover, and fired a precise shot at a weak point in the alien's armor. The creature faltered but was not defeated. This battle was unlike any previous skirmish. The aliens were stronger, faster, and smarter. "Keep moving," Marcus shouted to his squad. "Use every advantage the city gives us. Don't stop." The human defenders fought with extraordinary coordination. They used the ruins of their own city to create choke points, collapsed bridges to slow the enemy, and rigged buildings to explode strategically. Every human knew their role. Every action was precise. This was not chaos. It was controlled courage, Queen Zira observed with growing fascination. Marcus was not just surviving, he was commanding the battlefield. His tactics were clever, his bravery unyielding. The humans followed him with complete trust, inspired by his courage. It was unlike anything she had ever witnessed among the countless species she had conquered. "Interesting," she said, her voice a hiss of curiosity. "This human, he does not fight for survival alone. He fights for his people and they fight for him. Their unity is remarkable." The battle raged through the night. Streets were torn apart by explosions. Buildings crumbled and fires illuminated the chaos. Marcus moved through the battlefield, rallying his soldiers, rescuing trapped civilians and striking at the aliens with unmatched precision. Even when surrounded, he found ways to turn the situation to their advantage. In one critical moment, a group of elite aliens cornered Marcus and his squad on a collapsed bridge. With nowhere to retreat, Marcus acted quickly. He threw a charge that shattered part of the bridge, sending several aliens tumbling into the water below. The rest hesitated, giving his squad a chance to escape through a hidden tunnel he had discovered earlier. Queen Zira leaned forward in her observation chamber. Her many eyes widened. "He adapts faster than I imagined. One human, controlling so many lives with such precision. Extraordinary." The humans, though exhausted, continued to fight. Their spirit was infectious. Civilians who had never held a weapon before now defended their homes with courage and determination. Engineers repaired weapons under fire. Medics treated the wounded in makeshift stations. And children carried messages that guided soldiers to safety. Humanity was more than a species. It was a force of will, and Marcus was its heart. As dawn approached, the elite alien shock forces began to withdraw. They had underestimated human tactics, bravery, and the leadership of Marcus Hale. Every attempt to crush the defenders had been met with resilience and ingenuity. Marcus's squad, battered but victorious, regrouped to assess the damage and tend to the wounded. Marcus stood among them, exhausted but unbroken. "We have held them off," he said. "Today we showed that humans will not bow to fear. We will fight, we will endure, and we will survive. And that is something no alien force can take from us." Queen Zira observed silently, a strange feeling stirring within her. She had intended to test humans and crush their hope. Instead, she had witnessed something she had never expected: the raw power of courage and unity. Marcus Hale was not just a soldier. He was a symbol of everything humanity represented. She rose from her chair, her voice firm. "Perhaps I have been wrong about this species. They are not weak, not fragile, not meaningless. One human, one warrior can inspire many. Perhaps I must see more. I must witness the full strength of humanity in battle." Marcus did not know that he had captured the attention of the alien queen herself. All he knew was that he had led his people through the night, protected civilians, and proven that humans could stand against seemingly insurmountable odds. His mind already worked on the next strategy, the next defense, the next mission to protect his people. The city below, though scarred and battered, was alive with hope. Fires burned in some areas, but in the midst of destruction, lights glimmered from safe zones and human strongholds. Marcus walked among the survivors, encouraging them, inspiring them, and planning for the next phase of the fight. Humans were more than survivors. They were fighters. They were clever, courageous, and unyielding. And one man, Marcus Hale, had shown the galaxy exactly what it meant to be human. Not the strength of weapons, but the strength of spirit, courage, and leadership. Queen Zira's thoughts lingered on him as she prepared her next move. He had survived the elite shock troops, outmaneuvered her best soldiers, and inspired an entire population to resist. She realized that mocking humans had been a mistake. Marcus Hale was no ordinary opponent. He was a force, a symbol, a living testament to the power of humanity, and so the stage was set for the ultimate test. The alien queen would soon confront Marcus herself, not just with soldiers or weapons, but with the full might of her intellect, strategy, and power. She wanted to see the human warrior rise again, to witness firsthand the strength that had begun to challenge her expectations. For Marcus, the path forward was clear. He would protect his people, defend his city, and face any challenge with courage. Every human under his command had shown that spirit, determination, and unity were the greatest weapons they possessed. No alien force, no matter how powerful, could ever take that away. The war was far from over, but one truth had already been revealed. Humans, when led by courage and intelligence, were a force even the most powerful alien could not ignore. And Marcus Hale, the human warrior who inspired his people to rise above fear, would soon show the alien queen just how unstoppable humanity could be when its heart burned with courage. Commander Rylan Hearth had seen countless worlds, yet none quite like Viridian Prime. Its twin suns painted the horizon in hues of gold and violet, and its spires of crystal shimmered like oceans frozen in time. Rylan's ship, the Aurora Sentinel, touched down in the capital's outer bay, engines hissing as they cooled. He was not here on a diplomatic mission, nor a routine patrol. His purpose was personal and perilous. Deep within Viridian Prime's dense, luminous forests, a group of bioengineered raiders had abducted a young girl named Leora, daughter of Queen Aveline, the ruler of the planet. Word had spread of Rylan's legendary reputation across the interstellar sectors. He was the man who never left a mission unfinished, the one who brought people home. The Queen had summoned him personally, her voice echoing across the comm system with a mix of authority and quiet desperation. "Commander Hearth," she had said, "this is a matter of life and death. Save my daughter, and our world will owe you a debt beyond reckoning." Now standing at the edge of the forest, Rylan surveyed the terrain. The raiders had been quick but not careless. Their tracks glimmered faintly under the sun's twin rays, residue of their energy-wielding armor. Rylan knelt, examining the markings. He spoke quietly into his wrist comm, a voice only he could hear. "They've moved east, near the cliffs of Valor Ridge. One wrong step and she's gone, but I don't fail." For Rylan, failure was not an option. He had once lost comrades in a mission gone wrong, and the memory haunted him. But Leora was not just a mission, she was a life. Every calculated risk, every maneuver, every heartbeat counted. The forest grew darker as he advanced. The air hummed with the energy of the planet's flora, bioluminescent vines twining along jagged rocks. He was alone, except for the faint hum of his tactical suit's sensors. Suddenly, a flash of movement, a raider scout darting between the trees, caught his eye. Rylan didn't hesitate. In a blur, he disarmed the scout, incapacitating him silently. The scout's eyes widened in shock, but there was no time to interrogate. Rylan pried information from him swiftly, learning the location of the hidden fortress where Leora was held. The fortress hovered above the cliffs, a massive structure of dark alloys and energy shields that reflected the twin suns. It was a place designed to be unreachable, but that didn't matter to Rylan. As night fell, the first part of the rescue mission began. Using the terrain as cover, he approached the fortress from below, relying on stealth and agility honed from decades of experience. Sensors beeped softly against his helmet, energy shields, patrol drones, and automated defenses. He studied the layout, mapping every turret, every guard route. Hours passed like minutes. Then, at the edge of the cliff, he spotted her, Leora. She was small, her golden hair catching the light of a security beam. She didn't notice him yet, but her eyes were wide, filled with fear. Rylan's hand went to the grappling line on his suit. Timing was everything. With a single fluid motion, he launched the line, swinging across a gap between the cliffs and landing silently inside the fortress. Guards were startled but too slow. Rylan moved with precision, taking them down one by one. He approached Leora slowly, speaking softly. "Leora, I'm here to get you home," he said. Her eyes widened in recognition of the hope she hadn't dared to feel in days. Then, alarms blared. Somehow, the fortress systems had detected his presence. Energy barriers ignited and mechanical defenders began to close in. Rylan scooped Leora into his arms, activating his jet boots. He launched into the air, dodging plasma fire and weaving between patrol drones. The cliffside wind roared around him as he soared over the chasm. He could see the Queen's city in the distance, its towers gleaming like beacons of safety. One last shot from the fortress's main cannon missed him by inches, exploding against the rocks below. Leora clung tightly, shivering, but alive. When they finally touched down within the protective walls of the capital, the Queen was waiting. She descended from her palace balcony, her flowing robes sparkling in the twin moonlight. Relief and gratitude warred across her face as she approached. "Leora," she cried, embracing her daughter. "You're safe. Thanks to you, Commander Hearth." Rylan nodded, brushing off dust and debris. "It's my duty, Your Majesty. She's safe now." But in the back of his mind, he knew the unspoken truth. In saving the Queen's daughter, he had entered a new world of obligation, a debt of gratitude that could not be easily repaid. And Queen Aveline's eyes, though warm with relief, held a spark of something else, a claim, a possession, and perhaps a test of his resolve. As the city celebrated the safe return of Leora, Rylan realized that his journey was far from over. The mission had ended, but the consequences had only just begun. Rylan Hearth thought the hardest part was over. Leora was safe, returned to her mother's arms, and the fortress that had dared to challenge him now lay in ruins on the cliffs of Valor Ridge. Yet, as he watched Queen Aveline descend from her palace balcony, he began to sense that the real challenge had only just begun. "Commander Hearth," the Queen said, her voice calm yet commanding, "you have saved my daughter. For that you have my eternal gratitude." She stepped closer, eyes fixed on him. "But I must be honest. Your task is not yet complete." Rylan's brow furrowed. "Your Majesty?" She gestured toward the city below, its crystal towers glowing softly under the twin moons. "Viridian Prime is a world at a crossroads. The raiders who attacked my daughter are not just criminals. They are mercenaries hired by a coalition that seeks to control this planet. If they are allowed to regroup, they will strike again, and without strong leadership and protection, my people will suffer." Rylan nodded slowly. He understood. His role as a rescuer had brought him into a world of politics, a world far more complicated than he had anticipated. But he had faced danger before, and this was no different. He had come to save a life, and now he would ensure that no one else was harmed. The Queen's gaze sharpened. "I ask more of you than simply saving Leora. I ask you to stay." Rylan stiffened. "Stay?" he repeated. "I am a commander of the Interstellar Vanguard. I answer to no one but my orders and the lives I am sworn to protect. I did not come here to take up residence on your world." Aveline's eyes did not waver. "And yet you risked everything to save my daughter. You showed courage, skill, and loyalty. Those same qualities are what my people need now. You are the only one who can help us protect Viridian Prime. I will not ask again. Stay, or leave and risk the lives of thousands, knowing you could have prevented their suffering." Rylan's jaw tightened. He had always believed in freedom and choice, yet here was a queen who expected his loyalty in exchange for his heroism. He had faced battles with no moral compromise, but this was different. This was a test not of strength, but of heart. "I will help," he said finally, "but not because I am bound to stay. I will do what I must to protect those in danger. That is my code." The Queen inclined her head slightly. "Very well. But know this, leaving is not a simple matter. You will remain within the palace walls while we prepare for the challenges ahead. You will be under my command until the threat is neutralized." Rylan felt the weight of the words. He had expected gratitude, perhaps a reward, but not confinement. Yet he also understood her logic. Viridian Prime was under threat, and his presence could make the difference between survival and destruction. Leora, sensing the tension, clung to her mother. "He saved me, Mother," she whispered. "Please." "Let him stay with us." Aveline smiled softly at her daughter. "And he will, little one. He will stay for as long as we need him." The first days of Rylan's stay were a whirlwind of preparation. The Queen introduced him to the Palace Council, a group of advisors, strategists, and engineers who managed Viridian Prime's defenses. They spoke of raids that had plagued the planet for decades, of hidden networks of mercenaries, and of political enemies who sought to exploit the twin suns' energy for profit and power. Rylan listened carefully, analyzing every detail. His mind, trained for strategy and survival, absorbed every fact, every weakness in the defenses. The council marveled at his insight, impressed by his ability to see solutions that had escaped even their most experienced minds. Yet it was not all politics and planning. The Queen assigned him to train the palace guard, warriors who had been skilled with energy weapons but lacked the experience of real combat. Rylan worked tirelessly, demonstrating techniques, teaching discipline, and forging them into a force capable of standing against any threat. The more he worked with the soldiers, the more he realized the spirit of humanity, its courage, determination, and resilience was alive on this world. The guards listened intently, copying his movements, asking questions, and slowly becoming more confident. Each day, Rylan felt a quiet satisfaction. He had not expected teaching to be part of his mission, but he found it meaningful. These people, these humans, had the potential to protect themselves, and he was helping them discover it. One evening, as Rylan walked through the palace gardens, Leora approached him quietly. The twin moons illuminated her golden hair, and her eyes reflected both curiosity and admiration. "Commander Hearth," she said softly, "why do you stay if you want to leave? You don't have to be here." Rylan knelt to her level. "Because I saw what could happen if I didn't act, and because sometimes helping others is more important than freedom. I saved you because it was right." "I stay because it is right." Leora smiled faintly. "I think my mother knew you were brave even before this, but now, I see it too." Her words struck something in Rylan. For the first time in months, he allowed himself a quiet moment of pride. He had not just saved a life, he had inspired hope. Yet the calm was temporary. Intelligence reports from the Palace Council revealed troubling news. The Raider Coalition was regrouping faster than expected. They were not merely criminals, they were organized, well-funded, and determined to control Viridian Prime's energy resources. This was no longer a simple rescue mission. It was the start of a war for survival. Rylan studied the reports in detail. He analyzed patrol patterns, attack simulations, and possible weaknesses in the enemy's supply chains. Using his experience, he crafted a strategy not only to defend the capital, but to strike decisively, reducing the Raiders' ability to threaten the planet again. When he presented his plan to the Queen, she listened in silence, her fingers lightly tapping her robes. Finally, she spoke. "Commander, your plan is bold. It carries risk, but it may be the only way to ensure Leora's safety and the safety of my people. I trust you to make the call." Rylan nodded.
"I will not fail."
"But know this, the first strike must be precise. Any mistakes could cost lives, not just mine or yours, but everyone in the city." The Queen inclined her head, her expression unreadable. "Then strike wisely, Commander Hearth, and know that when you do, the people of Viridian Prime will follow your lead." As preparations began, Rylan spent long hours training troops, mapping battle zones and consulting with engineers. He coordinated defenses, built strategies, and instilled confidence in those around him. Every night he checked on Leora, ensuring she felt safe despite the looming danger. It was during one of these nights that he discovered the true depth of the threat. Scouts returning from the outer territories reported that the Raider Coalition had recruited new allies, mercenaries from other star systems, cybernetic soldiers with advanced weaponry, and even rogue AI drones. The scale of the threat was larger than anyone had imagined. Rylan absorbed the news without panic. Instead, he adapted. He devised new tactics, coordinated with engineers to enhance the city's shields, and trained the palace guard to anticipate attacks from multiple fronts. His mind worked tirelessly, fueled by the simple goal of keeping Viridian Prime safe. As days passed, the bond between Rylan and the Queen grew, not just as ruler and soldier, but as allies sharing a common goal. She respected his experience and he respected her leadership. Yet beneath the mutual respect lay tension. Rylan was a man accustomed to freedom, and the Queen's command weighed on him like a subtle chain. He understood her need for control, but he also knew he could not remain indefinitely if the planet became safe and the threat eliminated. One evening, as he reviewed patrol data in the palace command room, Queen Aveline entered quietly. She stood for a moment watching him. "You are too hard on yourself, Commander," she said softly. You carry the weight of this world as though it were your own, but you are only human. Even you need time to rest. Rylan glanced up, a faint smile touching his lips. I am accustomed to carrying weight, Your Majesty. But this is different. These are lives that depend on me. The Queen approached closer, her expression serious. And that is why I cannot let you leave. You have a gift, a skill, and a heart that is rare. The people of Viridian Prime need you now more than ever. I ask for your patience and your courage. Stay, not for me, but for them. Rylan nodded, understanding the truth in her words. He was here because he was capable, because he had proven himself, and because the lives of the innocent depended on him. His freedom was limited for now, but the mission was clear: protect, lead, and prepare for the storm that was coming. And so, with Leora safe, the city defended, and the Queen's command weighing heavily on his shoulders, Rylan Hearth began the next stage of his journey. It was no longer a rescue mission. It was a battle for a planet's future, a battle he was determined to win. Rylan Hearth had prepared for this day for weeks. Viridian Prime's palace and city defenses had been strengthened, the palace guard trained, and the city's energy shields enhanced. Every detail had been considered, every contingency planned. But nothing could fully prepare him for the moment when the enemy would strike. It began with a low hum across the horizon, a vibration felt in the city streets before it could be heard. Scouts returned with urgent reports. The Raider coalition had gathered near the eastern ridge. They were larger in number than anyone had anticipated, and their forces were armed with new weapons, far more advanced than what Rylan had seen before. The Queen called an emergency council in the palace war room. The room was alive with the glow of holographic maps, highlighting troop movements and predicted attack paths. Rylan stood at the center, pointing to positions where the city's defenders could maximize their advantage. These forces are strong, he said, but they underestimate the people of this planet, and their own arrogance will be their undoing. We will use the terrain to our advantage, the cliffs and forests to slow their advance, and our energy shields to protect the city. Timing is everything. One mistake and lives will be lost. But with precision and courage, we can defeat them. The Queen's eyes met his. Commander, the people are ready. I trust your judgment. Lead them well. Rylan nodded, taking a moment to survey the guards. Young soldiers, inexperienced but eager, looked to him for guidance. He walked among them, offering calm words, advice, and encouragement. Remember, he said, fear is natural, but courage is stronger. Stand together, trust your training, and protect each other. Today, you fight not only for the city, but for every life within it. As the sun began to rise, casting the city in soft golden light, the raiders approached. Their ships hovered above the cliffs, while armored ground forces moved in formation below. Rylan activated the city's perimeter shields, which hummed to life, creating a shimmering barrier that reflected the twin suns' light. He signaled the defenders, and the first wave of raiders advanced. Energy pulses crackled in the distance, the sound of weapons firing echoing across the valley. Rylan moved with swift precision, coordinating the city guards and placing them in positions where they could defend effectively without being overwhelmed. The first clash was intense. Raiders attempted to breach the outer walls, but Rylan's strategy worked. Choke points funneled the attackers into narrow paths, where the city's forces could focus fire and neutralize threats efficiently. He led small squads in rapid maneuvers, taking down enemy drones and disarming traps, always moving faster than the raiders expected. Leora watched from the palace balcony, her small hands gripping the railing. She had grown fond of Rylan not just as her rescuer, but as a symbol of hope and protection. She saw him in the distance, moving like a force of nature, guiding soldiers and defending the city with unmatched skill. Her eyes filled with admiration and relief. He was more than just a hero, he was their shield. Hours passed as the battle raged. The raiders' numbers seemed endless, yet Rylan's tactics held them at bay. He used the terrain wisely, setting traps along the cliffs and creating obstacles that slowed enemy forces. The city's energy shields absorbed blasts, while defenders, inspired by Rylan's example, fought with courage they had never known. During a brief lull, Rylan checked the perimeter sensors. He noticed unusual activity near the southern ridge. Enemy units were regrouping, preparing for a second wave. Realizing the danger, he immediately adjusted his strategy. He dispatched small squads to intercept the approaching forces while reinforcing key positions. As the second wave hit, the battle became even more chaotic. Raiders used new weapons that emitted blinding light and concussive energy waves, forcing defenders to adapt quickly. Rylan moved through the battlefield with calm determination, coordinating attacks, neutralizing threats, and ensuring that civilians remained safe behind the city's shields. At one point, he faced a squad of raiders who had breached a lower wall. Without hesitation, he engaged them directly. Using his tactical combat skills, he disarmed their weapons, neutralized their armor, and guided them away from the city without unnecessary harm. His actions were precise, swift, and effective, earning the admiration of those who watched. The raiders began to retreat, realizing that their plan had failed. Their forces were dwindling, morale broken by the unexpected resilience and strategic brilliance of Rylan and the city's defenders. The Queen, observing from the palace balcony, allowed herself a small smile. ViridianPrime had survived its first major assault. As the sun set, painting the skies in hues of violet and gold, Rylan gathered the remaining troops. Exhausted but victorious, they returned to the palace, where the Queen awaited. She descended from the balcony and approached Rylan, her expression a mixture of gratitude and concern. "You did it," she said softly. "You protected the city, the people, and Leora. ViridianPrime owes you more than words can express." Rylan shook his head. "I did what had to be done. The people fought bravely. They are the true heroes." Aveline placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your presence inspired them, Commander. Without you, many lives would have been lost. But know this, the threat is not over. The raiders will return, and next time they may come stronger. That is why I need you to remain. You cannot leave until the danger is fully neutralized." Rylan looked at her steadily. He understood her reasoning, but the words weighed on him. Freedom was not a concept he had ever taken lightly, and yet here, he was bound by duty to a world he had only just begun to know. He could not abandon these people, but he could not remain indefinitely. Night fell, and the city celebrated quietly, a mixture of relief and cautious vigilance in the air. Rylan took a moment to stand atop the palace walls, surveying the glowing towers and the forest beyond. He thought of Leora, sleeping safely under the Queen's protection, and of the soldiers who had fought courageously by his side. In the quiet of the night, he reflected on the challenges ahead. The raiders were cunning and relentless, and their coalition stretched beyond ViridianPrime. They would regroup, strategize, and strike again. But he also understood the strengths of this world, the people, their courage, and their willingness to fight for what they loved. Rylan knew that his mission had evolved. It was no longer just about saving one life. It was about safeguarding an entire world. Every choice, every action, every decision carried weight. He could not falter. As he prepared for the coming days, the Queen approached him once more. "You have done more than I could have imagined, Commander. But remember this. Your place here is not temporary. You have proven your worth, and your duty is now tied to the fate of ViridianPrime. I trust you will continue to lead, guide, and protect." Rylan nodded, accepting the weight of responsibility. The victory of the day had been hard-earned, but the journey was far from over. He had faced the first strike, led defenders against overwhelming odds, and inspired hope in those who had never known it. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, and new tests of skill and courage. But Rylan Hearth was ready. He had survived countless battles across the stars, and now he would defend ViridianPrime with every ounce of strength, strategy, and determination he possessed. For in a universe filled with danger and uncertainty, humanity's courage and his own would shine brightest when it was needed most.